Hey guys, this is Camfrey15. I am back at it with another video for you guys, and this is another One Piece anime episode review. We are here to talk about the most recent episode, and that is One Piece anime episode 955. This episode had a lot of, things contained in this episode because I have like a full-fledged set of notes. But yeah, let's get into this week's episode because it was pretty good. And it definitely is, we're definitely getting closer to the raid on Onigashima. Now, the episode starts off where we last left off in the snowy region. And essentially what, we last left off, Hiyori said she was going to give her father's sword, Enma, to Zoro. Now, Kawamatsu is like, no, it's like, an honorary thing from your dad. You can't give this all willy-nilly and stuff like that. Now, Hiyori also goes on to say that Oden was a two full-size sword-style swordsman, so he used two swords in his arsenal. And she goes on to say before he was executed by Orochi, what happened is she ended up getting Enma, and Momonosuke ended up getting one of his other sword. And the sword Momo got was Ami no Habakiri, and obviously, like I said earlier, Hiyori got Enma. Now, that's when she again pleads with Zoro, listen, I don't know how you got it, and if it was stolen by somebody else, listen, could you please give up Shushui and I'll give you the replacement. And Zoro is like, he's thinking about it, he's like, okay, if you give me this replacement, I'll definitely, I will definitely do it. And he also says, he also brings up the point that he has a connection with Ryuma, even though it is his corpse. And he does say that he would like to visit Ryuma's grave after everything is done with this whole, Fire Festival raid and stuff like that. So that's cool. I did like the part where Kawamatsu and Hiyori were kind of like dumbfounded by the point where they said, what do you mean by has a connection to his corpse, essentially, which, yeah, he had the battle, but Zoro was willing to give up Shushui for Enma, and we see, obviously, it seems like Zoro's going to start training with Enma starting next week. Now, we cut over to an interesting scene here, and this is the Law Hawkins scene where we find out some information how some things transpired for certain characters before they got to Wano. Now, we see Hawkins is all cut up and stuff like that. Law probably uses Op no Mi to cut him into different pieces. He was also all bleeding out and stuff like that, so that's another theme. Now, we don't know where Drake is at. Drake, for some reason, is gone. But I think I have a sneaky suspicion, actually thinking about it, Drake might be that shadowy figure we just saw. So that's another thing, because Drake is nowhere near here. So, anyways, Law kind of interrogates Hawkins, and essentially he asks Hawkins like, yo, I read in the news that you, Kid, and Apu made an alliance. What the hell actually happened? And, he's asking, where's Apu, where's Kid? Now, Hawkins says that they were set up, and what he means is we find out here that Scratchman Apu was working for Kaido from the very start of this alliance that they formed and stuff like that. And since they were confronting Kaido on Onigashima, essentially, Kaido says, listen, I'll let you in my crew because I want strong people in my crew. It's the same thing we know about his crew. He wants strong people in his crew to make his army stronger and stuff like that. Or how he says he wants strong soldiers to make the most powerful army in the world. Now, Hawkins, Hawkins typically does this little card, type of things where he says, oh, where is my percentage of this survival rate or something like that. And he goes on to say that his chances of fighting Kaido or escaping from Kaido were essentially 0%. But he had 40% of survival by essentially obeying Kaido on whatever he did. So essentially he kind of gives this smirk to Law, like saying like, and you know what? I just went with the odds, so I took the 40%. And I'm here, so Um, that's gonna be an interesting thing. So yeah. So now, but he also goes on to tell Law that Kid and Killer weren't so necessarily submissive to like how Apu was already joined Kaido's crew, and then Hawkins, he probably was like, okay, I'll join your crew after reading the cards. But Kid and Killer, they were like, no, we are not taking no for an option. Or we're not obeying under you. We do our own things. And essentially, they pick a fight with Kaido until they essentially can't fight. They can't fight no more, and stuff like that. So essentially, we find out too that Kaido doesn't like to kill people like that. He doesn't like to kill people when they're essentially kind of just bleeding out, essentially. So, essentially, like we all knew, and what he tried to also do to Luffy in the case of sending him to Udon prison, is we know that if, with Kaido's case, if you have a very powerful pirate he's going up against and he beats them, what he tries to do is he tries to make them, submit to his will, like do all these punishing actions to punish them, torture them, and do all that stuff till they eventually cave and give in and saying, yes, Kaido, okay, fine, just please stop it and I'll join your crew. And then obviously, they're kind of enslaved in his crew in a way. But we know Luffy obviously didn't do that, and obviously Kid and Killer didn't do it. And we know what happened to Killer, and we eventually knew what happened to Kid. He got sent to Udon, then Killer happened to him, and they totally made him forget his memories and stuff like that. So, yeah. Now, we also find a little bit more things because Hawkins brings the fact like, oh yeah, and for what happened to Kid's crew, it seems like Kid's crew, from what we heard from Hawkins, is essentially Orochi's lapdogs. Whatever Orochi says, they have to do. So it seems like they must be under the rule of Orochi. And Kid and Killer are, I guess, gonna try to find out where they're at to eventually free them. Now, Hawkins even goes on to say, like, listen, dude, I don't know why you're trying this, but listen, man, the four emperors are no joke, and they're on a whole different level. And that's just Hawkins saying it because it's Hawkins and he's in Kaido's crew and he's being kind of submissive. Now, yes, we do know that, the four emperors are definitely on a whole nother level. But obviously you have some pirates in the world that think otherwise, which is really only Luffy, Kid, and Law. So, yeah. Now, that's when kind of, it seems like he cuts him in some sort of way. We don't know what happens to Hawkins, but yeah. Now, when Law walks out, we see this shadowy figure, and we see only the silhouette of this person. And Law tells the guy if he's plotting to let him go, he says, I'm it. So, now I don't know what the I'm it part means. I really don't know, but like I said earlier, Hawkins was all beat up and cut up, but the only thing was Drake was nowhere in the area, and we knew last time we saw this scene, Drake was clearly in the area along with Hawkins. So I wonder if maybe Drake actually attacked Hawkins and Law kind of did his thing, and Drake is like, you can go free, and just make sure you don't tell anybody and stuff like that. So I wonder, that potentially might be Drake, and he might have just, I would not say betrayed these pirates, but it seems like he must have some sort of ulterior motives. That's my only guess who that silhouette figure could be. And it probably is going to be X-Drake because, like I said, X-Drake was with Hawkins interrogating Law when he was all chained up and everything. And all of a sudden, we cut back, Law's free, and Hawkins is the one kind of being interrogated and tortured in bed. So, and then, like I said, Drake is nowhere to be found. So I'm guessing it was Drake that let Law out, and he's like, I'm only going to let you out this one time, but if I catch you again, I'm not doing it, and I'm not being so generous. So maybe he has some other ulterior motives. Now, when Law leaves the scene, it says 6 days to the raid on Onigashima. We get a little training montage of Luffy using some more Ryu. And obviously he was telling him, just remember when, Kaido overpowered you and beat you and stuff like that. And then after that scene, we see that a day had passed and 5 days till the raid on Onigashima. Now we cut over to Kinemon because he finally received the updated sheet that Yasui did, that Nami got a hold of, and essentially he starts calling all the other, people around Wano in their alliance force, and essentially this is when they get the change of plans and stuff like that. Now Nami, after, and the thing is, everybody gets the point of that message and stuff like that. Now Nami asks him the point, like, it's amazing that like so many people in the alliance now knows this like change to the street, and they already know what to do next. And that's when Nami asks Kinemon, like, okay, so what does the 2 lines in the snake mean? Now Kinemon says every port in Wano country essentially is named after an animal in each different region. And essentially he goes on to say that by adding 2 lines to the snake, it essentially transforms the snake from a snake to a lizard. And essentially, that means they meet up at the lizard port, which is in Udon. So that's where the new meetup place is at. They meet up in the Udon region, at the lizard port, and stuff like that. So yeah. Now after that, we cut over to Kaido, our Onigashima. We see Kaido and Big Mom actually throwing a feast, throwing a nice little mini party. Big Mom's got her red bean soup that she's going down. Kaido's drinking his sake, and he eventually gets drunk later on and stuff like that. We also see that Scratchman and Pooh is arriving back to Wano after, I guess, some mission he must have did. And essentially, this is when we also get another revelation here. And we find out the revelations on the ways to enter Wano. Now, there are 2 different ways to enter Wano. The first way to enter Wano is obviously the way how Luffy, Nami, Sanji, Chopper, Brook, and Carrot entered, which was using the cart to ride up the waterfall to get into Wano. But we find out another way is through a secret passageway through the waterfalls that, yeah, it seems like it's relatively like, oh, it must be like a secret passageway that only the Wano people know. Well, yes, that's kind of true in the case of Orochi and Kaido, because you actually need clearance, acceptance from them to use this way to get into Wano in essentially the secret underground tunnel type of way. So yeah, that's another thing. So that's how these pirates are able to leave easily and come back easily if they leave Wano for a short time, looking out in the new world. When they're ready to come back to Wano, they just do that way because they have clearance from Kaido and Orochi to get in through the secret way. So obviously it makes other people's chances harder here. Now, like I said, we don't know how Kinemon and the others got to Wano. They might have just taken the same route as Luffy did, or maybe there's a third way to enter, but I highly doubt it. And they definitely can't take the underground waterfall route because they don't have clearance from Kaido or Orochi. So yeah. Now we go on seeing that when they go into the tunnel, they get to a little stationary point, like a port, that is called, or at the end of the cave, that is called Mogoro Port. Now when they kind of unpack and everything, they go up this gondola, which essentially takes them to the Hakamai region. And after that, you see Scratchman and Pooh talking with Kaido, because Kaido's like, oh, we're gonna have a big party, the fire festival's gonna be great, we're gonna have this gigantic party, stuff like that, it's gonna be the best party ever, and stuff like that. And Scratchman and Pooh's like, yo, trust me, I can't miss out on my party, yo, and stuff like that. Now, we see some interesting figures, and we see these very tall figures that at first almost resemble one of those, the tall guys we saw way back, like all the way back in near at the start of the Sky PR, the shadows of the Sky people and stuff like that, and how they look so giant and stuff like that. And I was like, wait, are we seeing something similar to that? But no, we see these like beast-like creatures called the Numbers of Onigashima, and we see these kids like obviously just terrified of it, and they're called the Numbers. And even they hear them coming, Queen and King hear them coming, and they're like, it seems like the Numbers are back. So Jesus, I don't know what these things are. These things look like literal giants. So I don't know how they're gonna be so successful, but Jesus. I saw that, I was like, man, that's crazy. Now the episode ends off with the fact that you obviously cut back to Big Mom and Kaido partying and stuff like that. And that's when he announces. That's when they both announced to essentially Kaido's crew and a few people that are still on Onigashima in the room that they're in. They eventually said that the Animal Kingdom pirates and the Big Mom pirates have now started an alliance together to dominate the world. But after this alliance is done, they will go back to killing each other, and that's where the episode ends off. So obviously, I knew this would eventually happen. If you're an anime only, obviously the manga people knew that they're having an alliance. Now, I know the reason why their alliances started and stuff like that because I read a little bit further ahead of the manga. I know the reason behind why they had the alliance, but I'm going to keep it secret for the anime-only watchers here. But the anime-only watchers now know why, are now know that they started an alliance. They just not explained the meaning behind their alliance. But we're going to get that on the Battle of Onigashima. That's when it's going to be revealed. But I won't reveal that. For the time being, but other than that, it was a good episode. Had a lot of stuff in here and things like that. And I think I also heard that the end to Act 2 is actually coming up. So yeah, because next week Luffy's going to still be training some more Ryu. It seems like the 9 Red Scabbards are going to be going away to prepare for the raid on Onigashima. So we're going to be training with Enma and stuff like that. So like I said, we got a lot of information here. This was a very good episode and I can't wait to see next week's episode. But anyways, guys, if you guys like this video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on this week's this week's episode, as well as hit the subscribe button to get more One Piece content. Probably Monday or Tuesday, I'm going to upload me and my co-host Red Wolf our arc review of the One Piece Reverie arc, because we recently did that arc. I recorded that video. It's just gotta wait to get up. I already completed it and everything. But that's probably coming either Monday or Tuesday. And then like I said, which eventually I'll review the movies and specials, and then obviously anime stuff like that. And then too, also got a big day tomorrow because Dragon Ball Super next new manga chapter, which starts the new arc called the Granola arc, is starting up again, or is starting tomorrow. And then My Hero Academia's manga chapter is releasing as well tomorrow. So big day tomorrow. Obviously, also if you're a fan of my sports team, which is the Bears, obviously you can check out my Bears recap after a game against the Vikings. But other than that, that's all I gotta say. So hopefully you guys have a great rest of your night or day or whenever you turn up the video. Until then, guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. So then, guys, peace.